Yo, what is up, my golden boys and girls? Chandler here, and I know you can tell it's dark because I have my light on right now, but today's video was actually recommended by a younger viewer. You know who you are. I'm not going to give a shout out because I didn't write down your name. Apologies for that, but I've actually had this nagging me in the back of my mind, and it's what is equalization, or spin steel for short, is what most people call it. Now, spin steel goes all the way back to the original plastic generation, like Dragoon, Dronzer, Drigger, Jaceel, those type of days. And not many people think Metal Fight's the first gen. It's really not. Anyway, Dragoon F actually was advertised to be able to absorb power from the opponent, or shock, for that matter. Now, it had little rubber bumpers on the back of the dragon heads, or on the foreheads of the dragons. And Dragoon would spin opposite way, so the dragon heads would be behind the blades. And so you would hit one of those rubber bumpers and it would speed up, like kind of like that. And yeah, I have all the parts throughout Burst that we're using for equalization, starting off with, of course, the infamous Drain Fafnir. And yeah, so there, so forth. And what's using now as well as what was using then. So what better way to start off with the classic? This was the first ever part that was kind of focused on equalization, or is using an equalization, which was the polish disc. I think the two parts were the polish disc and the hold driver, as well as the revolve driver and the orbit driver. These were all using in the dual layers system of bays, and was definitely focused on life after death. Of course, why do I have Destroy in my hand? No, Hold. Hold was very good. It stayed upright for a while. Revolve had good stamina and pretty good life after death. And Orbit was just kind of beta atomic. So, yeah. Of course, then we get down to the God Layers equalization parts. And you have Drain Fafnir, Atomic, Bearing, Destroy, and Spriggan Requiem. And back in the day, I remember that Drain Fafnir, Polish, Atomic was the combo that ruled the meta. This thing was an absolute beast, and everyone spammed it. But what's to say? Spriggan Requiem on Bearing was spammed, because Spriggan Requiem on Bearing. And, I mean, these were all really good parts for the days. Atomic, Destroy, and Bearing. Sadly, all these parts are outclassed in some way, shape, or form, though Destroy is still used by a lot of people today, though the rest of these are outclassed. Next, we have Chozi, and I'm actually missing one of the layers, which I was like, I'm missing one. What am I missing? And then that snapped into my head, and I realized, oh wait, Hell Salamander, yeah. You only had one that was pretty much viable throughout Chozi, but then Geist Fafnir came along for limited, so you had Geist Fafnir and Hell Salamander, which were your two equalizers of that generation. Geist Fafnir is used in limited as a substitute to Drain Fafnir at times, since Drain Fafnir is getting kind of hard to get. And Hell Salamander was basically the do-all, beat-all, just stamina combo. It was using on Bearing, Atomic, Extend Plus. Speaking of drivers from Chozi era, we had two new drivers that were pretty good, and then we had Drain Fafnir and Hell Salamander. So, of course, this was the beginning of the infamous Extend Plus driver, which was a 3-moded attack or balance type performance tip that featured a plate to add on to the Extend driver. This was sadly a pretty rare release, as not many people could actually afford themselves Extend Plus because of the actual rarity of the driver during Chozi. Now later on, during the GT system, Extend Plus became more available in this red color, this transparent red with a red plate. Same thing, actually has a tighter spring though, which is also very nice to see. So yeah. But Extend Plus was also new. Eternal was also new, though it was already outclassed by Extend Plus, and Bearing, though was basically a mix between Bearing and Revolve, and also sat lower than most drivers, though Extend Plus also filled that gap in its stamina mode, which is pretty upsetting. But all these layers were pretty good. It was basically the combo you were also introduced to 2 new frames, which was the lift frame and the wall frame, which were both pretty much using as equalizing stuff on like the 10 disc, 7 disc. I remember back in the day, like the combo that would be seen most on Hell Salamander was like double O wall, XM plus, or bearing. And then you had Chozi Spriggan, which was actually more for same spin than opposite spin, though a lot of people like to use this thing on bearing. That's not a bad thing. It's pretty dang good parts. But like Hell Salamander would be using on bearing. It would also be using on cross extend plus. Very fun layer, and I really miss the days where like bays were like this kind of shape, because I think that's a very fun shape. So yeah, that was all of those things. Next up, we had the GT generation. Trying to think here, what did GT bring to the table for equalization? I think it brought tact. I don't know if I have my tact on me. Do I have a tact? I don't have a tact on me, but tact was pretty good. But like the use-all beat-all for it was L.A.D. L.A.D was a dual spin base that featured 2 rubber bumpers on the layer that also had hooks for attack. Though you would be primarily using it for stamina, this was probably the meta part back in the day. Now, it did have burst stopper tabs. Mine have since worn out, but you can see where they used to be. Little nubs. It also has metal integrated into the layer instead of a GT chip, which is also something new. Which is really, really cool, really, really awesome, and L.A.D is stupid expensive now, so what's the point in buying it? That was pretty much the only... Oh, wait, the Rise driver exists. Rise was also a new part. Vanguard was also a new part. Pretty much Vanguard and Rise were 2 parts really good for equalization. Rise with its stand-up ability, and Vanguard. I actually think I can include the Ratchet disc into this list, because Ratchet as well sits pretty low to the stadium floor, and also is basically a wall, except it's really good in opposite spin, and decent in same spin. So yeah. Rise was Rise is good. I like Rise. Alright, next we're up at the last generation. At the previous generation, which is Sparking. Sparking, we had a couple of parts and a lot of drivers. So from what I've been doing research on, I mean, your options can easily change. I mean, this is my opinion here for Sparking, because it's kind of what I'm comfortable with. But you got so many new parts allowed. It's not even funny. I'm trying to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Nope, I'm not. So, you, of course, had your Mirage ring. You had your World ring. I like it in left, because left looks awesome. And then you had Worn and normal 2D, because Worn I like to use, and the standard one is really good for equalization. So all these were viable. Mirage is just solely for against right spin. World can be used on either spin. You just got to read your opponent. As well as this chassis can pretty much be using on equalizers. And this thing is just a pure opposite spin part. So you can always pair this with Mirage and just say, yeah, this is just a pure like just call out bay. Like if you want to call out your opponent for using right spin, use those 2 together and it's freaking hilarious. But yeah. So that's all of those. And of course, we have our drivers, which are Drift, Mobius, Universe, and Zone Dash plus Z, or Zone plus Z. Either one works. 4 new Life After Death drivers, TT. Are you kidding me? Why do you do this? The best one, of course, here being Drift, with its high Life After Death, and it's pretty weird same spin, because it sometimes does good, sometimes does bad. The next best one being Zone Dash plus Z, which has pretty better same spin than Drift, but a little worse opposite spin. Then you have Mobius, which has very similar opposite spin to Drift, but has awful same spin, like none whatsoever. And then you have Universe, which is kind of like, it has pretty good same spin and pretty good opposite spin. It's kind of like a perfect balance, but like not many people use it, and I still do not know why people do not like the Universe driver. So yeah, that's pretty much it for that season. Then we have, of course, our last part, which is the Never driver from Beyblade Burst DB. This part is relatively new. A lot of people say it performs very similar to Extend Plus, which I perfectly believe. So yeah, pretty dang cool stuff. So we're gonna actually show off some of these equalizing combos against a very familiar combo that I am just gonna throw together on the fly, because I know it by heart. I mean, if you're a competitive player and you do not know this combo by heart, I'm going to ask you first, what the hell are you doing in your career? And second, or your career, Beyblading career. But yeah, it's of course the Tempest Solomon combo. No metal chip core. I'm just going to kind of throw it together with an Extend Plus on it, just to kind of show off equalizing and its properties, as well as, yeah, all that fun, interesting, stupid life after death stuff that no one really likes. So yeah, let's get everything out of the box, and we shall show off equalizing. And all these combos are pretty good. Only reason I'm using Tempest is because it's round, but it's not too round, so I can kind of screw around with stuff for a little bit and show off some of these interesting old combos that people would have used. So let's, of course, start off with Drain Polish Atomic. Do I think it will win? Probably not, but I remember back in the day where, like, the best opposite spin driver was, like, Revolve. It was pretty good, and I'm actually going to use Revolve on Tempest just for this battle, just to show you my point. Alright, so, and I'm also going to hand spin it, because what better way to show off equalization with a hand spin? Okay, maybe not. Hang on. Hang on. Can you settle in the center, please? Thank you. Yep, see? Outspun Tempest. So then, after that season, the best opposite spin driver was, of course, Bearing. Also, just to let you all know, Spriggan Requiem was also being spammed on Bearing. And I think, like, the meta combo back in the absolute days of, oh shit, oh fuck, days of Spriggan Requiem, I think the best was, like, Spriggan Requiem Outer Bearing. Also, really nice color combo here. So, yeah, pretty much the whole meta was, like, Bearing matchups. Yeah, Spriggan Requiem wins, as you guys can see. But yeah, no, Bearing was definitely, like, the best driver at that time, because it came out with, like, the set. And I'm not bringing up Hasbro stuff, because Hasbro stuff has a lot of life after death eccentric stuff. And now we're moving on to the great Salamander Scourge of... Yes. Alright, so... Salamander was usually using on, of course, this type of stuff. It wasn't the overall best, but actually, I think I can grab a cross frame and show you the Extend Plus shenanigans that just kind of were happening back in the day. Do I have I'll use 4 cross Extend Plus, because why not use 4? Because it's a little lighter. Also because I stand the 4-disc. Alright, so you have Hell Salamander for Cross Extend Plus, and it'll be going up against this monstrosity. I will actually use a launcher for this one if I can find one. Yes, I can, because Hell Salamander does not have any rubber bumpers to absorb a lot more momentum. It also is a Chozi base, so it is slightly unbalanced. And we are not even balanced tuned, and we're probably going to win this because of Extend Plus carrying. No, we're not. Alright, yeah. But, case in point, it still pretty good. And this is more of a modern combo, but you could already see some of the older stuff was winning. Geist Fafnir, I think you would only want to use it on kind of a bearing setup, but I remember a lot of people liked to use it on Destroy. I'm gonna try and use it on Zone Dash plus Z. So, 7 volt Zone Dash plus Z. So more of a modern-esque driver. But Geist Fafnir is at least kind of balanced. Yeah, that was pretty close. Then after that we had, of course, the World Rise combo, which was a lot of people's favorite back in the day. I'm just going to go with stock World Spriggan Vanguard Rise. And hopefully we are in left spin. Are we in left? We are not. We are in right, so I have to switch that. No, God. Well, at least Lord was at least easy to switch. Just take it apart and remove the chip. Nothing intuitive about it. So 3, 2, 1, go. Classic World Spriggan, or Lord Spriggan. And this combo has no free spin parts, just like the Stem Plus. It's just, like, really, really good at equalizing. Maybe not as good as Bearing, but it may come close. And also Vanguard, because it lowers the center of mass. Ooh, that was a draw, too. That was a fun draw, though. Yeah, but you can basically see that, like, Equalization is not 100% foolproof. Of course, after GT, we then had our Sparking era, which is where pretty much everything was on Extend Plus for, like, the early half of it. And then, basically, yeah, all that stupid, oh god, help me stuff that no one really likes. Let me just do this. And, this is a call-out combo, so if you wanted to just completely call out your opponents in a match, like, let's say your opponent is just being is person you don't like, and they've been an absolute dick to you, and they always just spam right spin stamina Tempest. If you just want to call them out 100%, might I recommend this thing. And the reason we're not using Drift is because Drift is short and it scrapes a lot. So yeah. So pay close attention because this is gonna pretty much win the match. Pretty much, yeah, but of course, then you have had your my combo, my favorite combo, that I don't know why, but like, yeah, it's like left Lord. I use Diabolos, but for this I'm gonna use Spriggan on 2D Extend Plus, and to show off that I am gonna use Never on Solomon. So yeah. So, Solomon. Very aggressive driver, but so is mine. And, like, it's turned from kind of a stamina match, of, like, it can start off as an attack match, but go into stamina. And, of course, you can always substitute for the non-worn 2D. But, no, this works just fine. And I'm not a huge fan of Equalizers. I think it's kind of brain dead, but yeah, it's not bad. And I mean, you have so many options for Equalization, and you still do. Like, you could use Drain Fafnir, Outer Drift. Like, this thing is like the combo that absolutely, like, I bet you if I use Tempest on Never, my dog is going off like a freaking bulb. I could use this in a limited tournament, and I bet you if I chose in standard against like a Tempest on Extend Plus or a Tempest on Never, and I just said hand spin, watch this. Okay, don't self KO. What are you doing? No, absorb spin, Fafnir. Thank you. Ooh, all the spin is mine now. Has a good day. The meta has just been beaten by a God Layer combo on Drift. Please don't go out and doing on this and then you get killed by a Rage, because I don't want to be, like, slandered for this. But I'm sorry, I feel like it's so funny just to see, like, oh yes, this is a meta combo. And just getting outspun by, like, Drain on Drift. And the worst part is this combo is so freaking safe in the limited format. It's that it's like, pretty much should be banned at this point. Because I can just kind of pop it in the stadium. And look at that. I'm already like stealing all of my opponent's spin while getting flung out near the edge of the stadium. And look, I'm still winning. Think I'm wrong? No, I can outspin it. See, spin steal is more of a terminology using for the anime, but oh, please come down. Yeah, feed me, father. But equalization is the proper term, because if they're spinning at equal speeds, Fafnir can't absorb any more spin. Instead, it's absorbing impact or shock to maintain its spin. But the rubber inevitably chooses to slow it down, so it's really just kind of all that stuff. And even if I soft launch it, I hard launch Tempest. Now he has sharper blades, and now I'm able to spin steal from him more. Which means I spin launch. But basically, yeah, you can pretty much spin steal with anything if you really just prepare the combo right. It may take a bit of tweaking, but once you get it right, you pretty much have yourself an absolute beast of a combo. WBO, please ban this. Please ban these two parts. Outer and Drift, I hate it. Can we just go back to Drain Fafnir Polish Atomic days, please? The good old days of the God Layer system. But yeah, no, this was actually recommended by a viewer, which is actually awesome, because I will say, going after some of my viewers' content definitely makes the freaking content a lot more fun and a lot more enjoyable to do. And it sucks that, like, for the first season, there weren't really many equalizers to begin with. Like, the only one I think using for equalizing was, like, Lost Longinus, and even then, that was, like, useless to some extent for equalizing. But, yeah, no, like, and then there's, like, other layers that are, like, for right spin equalizing, like Perfect Phoenix and Archer Hercules. But I was basically going off of, like, left spin, and, like, because most bays are right spin, I wanted to go off, opposite spin matches, or equalization matches. And if you guys want me to go more in-depth onto, what opposite spin matches are like, or not, no, this is opposite spin, what same spin is like, and, like, what drivers are good in same spin, basically, I'm gonna say most of the drivers you see here are useless in same spin, besides Atomic. But same spin doesn't come up that much anymore, so Extend Plus is pretty much your same spin unit. But it's pretty different from what it is now in the meta, because you have, like, so many different things that were viable, and now you only have, like, 2 things that are viable for one thing. But I do think equalization is a concept that is kind of hard to grasp, because you need to really focus on life after death as such. But if you're not focusing, like, and then there's, like, frames that are really good for equalizing, like Cross. I like to use Star, but yeah. But basically, most things can equalize as long as they have a good shape for it. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how I can make freaking Judgment spin steal. No, I absolutely will not do that. I refuse to. But, like, there's plenty other options for spin steal out there that either aren't really that good or haven't really been tested to the fullest extent yet. And I would definitely say go through your collection, experiment with what you got. And if you find something that works really well in opposite spin, by the way, that doesn't mean launching your right spin Beyblade to the left. That means launching your left spin Beyblade left. Or a good right spin equalizer against left spin. Because I will say this, the meta right now is a lot of left spin because of layers such as Rage and Lord and Mirage. And so if you have a good right spin equalizer, you may be able to outlast them in an equalization match. But yeah, no, like all these parts you see in before you. Allow me to flex my 3 Extend Pluses, please. Thank you. Are all really well using for equalizing because they have really... you can see they all have really round bottoms. Actually, yeah, everything here is either a ball, a flat, or a really wide base tip. So a wide base tip, very, like, cone, not cone-shaped, but very, like, kind of platter-shaped where it kind of slopes down a little bit for drivers. And then layers you can see here are either really left spin or have some sort of rubber or a good shape with a lot of jagged edges for Beyblades to catch on. Like, you see Drain Fafnir has rubber bumpers. Where's Guy's Fafnir? Guy's Fafnir? Guy's Fafnir. You see Spriggan Requiem, it has rubber bumpers. You see Guy's Fafnir, it has rubber bumpers. You see Hell Salamander, it has jagged edges. You see Lord Spriggan, it has rubber bumpers. You see World Spriggan, it has jagged edges. You see Chozi Spriggan, it has jagged edges, but the fact that it's dual spin really makes it a pretty good option. And all that cool stuff. And if you want me to go in detail onto other subjects like types of defense, stationary versus mobile, I would love to do more competitive lessons because these actually help you guys get informed of what to do. Now, I will say this, please don't go out into the tournament using like Hell Salamander or Chozi Spriggan because you're going to lose very fast unless it's a format where they're good. Like Drain Fafnir, Outer Drift can be spammed to its heart's content in the limited format. And I'm also going to say this, it doesn't matter what launcher you use. You could use a proto-launcher for God's sake. Equalization will work. And the thing is, like the DB launcher, you can use that. You can use sparking launchers. You can use normal string launchers, light launchers, proto-launchers, sword launchers, Hasbro launchers. Anything really works for equalization. You don't need a certain type of launcher to get it launched at the right power. You just need to launch it minorly, like, pretty decently hard. Like, not decent, like, oh, yes, anime launch. I would like to use Free as an example. Like, Free in Sparking, where he kind of pulls his string. Also, he pulls his string out like this, softly. Don't pull out like that, by the way. That ruins the launcher. You pull out straight every time. Watch my launcher etiquette video. But you pull out like this. He just pulls out, and it just launches Fafnir short. Like, wobbly, but not spinning super fast, that it's around the stadium. But, yeah, that's pretty much it I have to say about this video. This video is almost 30 minutes. What the hell? About me ranting about equalization and stuff. That's stupid. Why would I take my time out of my day to make you guys this video? Wow, okay. God help me. I'm trying to make sure I didn't forget anything, like any useful information. No, I think that's pretty much good. I'm sorry I forgot Tact. Tact is actually used to be pretty good for equalizing. But that's about it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy this video. Go join our Discord server. Link in the description below. The CBT is still open, so please join that if you want to join. Make sure you're 13 years or older. And I hope you all have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay awesome, and Beyblade.